It's not that long since a crowbar, a coat hanger and a brick were the tools of the typical car thief's trade. But now things are very different, because the high-tech kit that's at the centre of every modern motor could in fact be making it an awful lot easier for today's tech-savvy car criminals to break in and just drive away without even raising suspicion. But while the police and the car companies might not appear to be winning the race to keep our vehicles secure, as I discovered, there are some very simple and indeed low-tech ways that'll stop your car being the next target. It's around 3 p.m. on a Monday afternoon in a busy Birmingham car park. A white Ford Fiesta pulls up next to an almost identical car and the passenger gets out. 15 seconds later, the car unlocks and the man gets in. Then, after he spent a minute and a half inside the car, the engine starts and he drives away. But he wasn't the owner. He and his accomplice had somehow found a way to steal the car in a matter of seconds. What's remarkable about this story is just how easy it seems for thieves to be able to steal a car, because it all happens so quickly, so quietly, that if you're a casual observer, you'd have no idea that a crime was taking place at all. Now, I have a personal connection to the car in that footage because it's owned by my goddaughter, Claire Jackson. And like me, she is stunned as to how it could have happened, because her keys hadn't been stolen, the car was locked, and the alarm was on. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Oh, good. Now you have to tell me all about your car.
My car, yes, came out of work one afternoon and walked to the car park, and where my car had been previously, it was completely deserted, empty. There was no car there.
You must have felt sick.
Well, I stood there for a moment and was like, okay, am I going mad? Did I leave it somewhere? It's not there now.
Shaken and in a panic, Claire ran inside to inform security, who checked the CCTV.
So when we looked back at it, we saw my car that was parked where I thought it was parked, a white Ford Fiesta. A guy gets out of the back of the car and he stands by the side of the car. He opens the door, he then gets in and closes it. And then he's got the car started and he pulls out and he drives off.
You must have felt sick.
Yes, I was upset, and I was trying to think what else was in the car. You know, I'd just been shopping, I'd got a whole week's worth of shopping, my iPad was in there.
With the thief hidden from the view of the CCTV camera, it's a mystery as to how exactly Claire's car was stolen. But one thing is for sure, they didn't smash a window and hotwire it. And in April this year in Essex, Richard Hayden had his car stolen in an equally mystifying manner.
First thing we done was watch the CCTV and find out what had happened. Two guys have stolen the car. It took them not even 2 minutes, there's no breakages or nothing.
While Richard was inside sleeping, his brand new Mercedes, worth around £40,000, was stolen from right outside his house. But unlike the theft of Claire's car, this time the CCTV from Richard's house did give clues about how it was done. One of the thieves placed a bag against the side of Richard's house, while the other simply opened the driver's door, jumped inside and drove away.
You can see in the camera footage that it took them not even 2 minutes to steal the car. It's really surprising. You never think it happens to you.
Richard's car was fitted with a keyless entry system which unlocks the doors when the driver walks towards it, without the need to press any buttons on the key fob. The police believe that inside the thief's bag was a device which amplified the signal from Richard's key. So, although the key was inside the house, the car was tricked into thinking it was close by, and the doors automatically unlocked. A simple press of the start button allowed the thieves to drive away.
This device that they've got, it's not something that you go up the road and sort of buy. It's something that they've paid a lot of money for and a lot of thought's gone into it.
Over the last 15 years, the total number of cars stolen has fallen by more than 2/3. It was just over 90,000 in 2016. But the police say there's a high-tech element to the majority of car theft today, as even the most basic modern cars use sophisticated software, rather than just locks and keys to keep them more secure. So I've come to meet our technology expert, David McClelland, to find out more about the technology at a modern car thief's fingertips. David, for once you're surrounded by low-tech when I'm used to seeing you surrounded by high-tech, but I'm sure there's a place for it.
It's all about the right tech at the right time, Angela.
Right, so let's talk about Richard's situation. What happened there?
So this is a really, really sophisticated attack. These keyless entry systems usually work by proximity. You have a key and you have it close to the car door and you can open your door without physically having to put a key in or put it into the ignition. Now, let's say you've parked your car on the street or on your driveway, you've taken your key inside and put it by your front door. What criminals have discovered, however, is that if you can bridge that gap with a signal amplifier, you can open car doors.
And they can do the same if you're in your office, a shop or wherever.
Indeed, yes.
High-value cars like Richard's are a prime target for criminals, but vehicles worth much less can be stolen just as easily. And even if yours doesn't have that keyless technology, you'll probably still remotely lock or unlock it with the click of a button on your key fob. Well, it turns out that this too might make it vulnerable to thieves.
Signal jammers block the signal from your wireless key fob to your car. So you're in a car park, you walk away, you press the button on your key fob, you think you've locked your car, but because the criminal's got this jammer, it stopped the signal from getting to your car. So your car is unlocked.
In just a 2-week period last November, it's believed that signal jammers were used to break into 14 vehicles at 3 different service stations along the M4. Now, in the case of Claire's car, we know a signal jammer wasn't used because the CCTV clearly shows the mirrors unfolding as the car was unlocked. That would not have happened if a jammer had already been used. It's possible that the thief may have used a skeleton key, but even after getting into the car, there's still the small matter of starting it. It was 45 seconds before the thief drove away, and David thinks that during that time, he was exploiting a key piece of technology inside almost every car on sale today.
In all cars that are manufactured now and have been in the last 10 or 15 years or so, there's a port in there. It's called the onboard diagnostics port. And what this allows is engineers and mechanics access to your car's computer. It can also be used by criminals to program a blank key that would allow a criminal to drive away with your car.
Once thieves have the doors open and get access to the diagnostics port, they may be able to program a replacement key which would work in exactly the same way as the original, even though that is still with the car's owner. Is that technology freely available online?
Well, once upon a time, this was seen as military-grade technology costing tens of thousands of pounds. Some researchers claim that they've been able to build this technology with no more than £100 or £200 worth of equipment. And what's more, it's very easy to put it together. They're saying anyone who's doing, electrical engineering at university, or perhaps even following some instructions downloaded from the internet, would be able to commit this crime as well.
Are we talking about the dark web here?
No, this is the clear web. This is accessible for anybody who pops in the right search terms into their favourite search engine. So here's one, for example. This is a remote control jammer with a 30-metre radius. There's no one clamping down on it. In fact, the only little guide here is at the top there.
Oh, yes.
Only for legal use.
The open sale of equipment such as this is of real concern to businesses like Ford Motors, which, when we got in touch about the theft of Claire's car, reiterated that these devices should be confined to dealer use only and not be on uncontrolled public sale on the internet. Ford believes legislation needs to be tightened to better control their supply outside of industry dealers and technicians. And that's echoed by the industry body, the Society of Motor Manufacturers and Traders, which is calling for stronger safeguards to stop the sale of devices that have no legal purpose. The SMMT also said that new cars have never been more secure, and manufacturers invest heavily to stay one step ahead of criminals. Of course, we drivers also have a part to play in keeping our cars secure. Park in well-lit areas, make sure they're locked. But Claire and Richard did that, and still their cars were stolen. Good news then that David has got advice for anyone whose car, like Richard's, unlocks when it senses that the key is approaching. How can we, the consumer, protect ourselves from being targeted?
A little bag like this. Put your keys in here, and what this does, it stops all of the radio frequencies from going in and out, therefore stopping the whole wireless bit of these keys from working.
That's because it's lined with something in here. It isn't just fabric, it's got a special lining inside.
Another way that I quite like as well, I was never good enough to be on Blue Peter, is this is just a standard tin, and you can line that with a bit of foil. This has been found by researchers online to provide a very good level of security against wireless hacks. So just pop your foil on the inside, and then at the end of the day, pop your keys in there, close the lid, and there you go. That will do a very good job of stopping the car criminals from getting access to your car.
Even better, the walls of your fridge will have a similar effect. So here's a great tip. Pop your keys in there when you get home, and that'll keep them out of the reach of a signal amplifier. Although many newer models have now addressed these issues, there have been calls for manufacturers to do more to protect their cars from this kind of high-tech theft. Meanwhile, the Metropolitan Police has endorsed a much more low-tech way to keep your car safe: the steering wheel lock. But the manufacturers we spoke to were keen to stress how hard they are working to make their cars secure. Ford told us it is continually developing and improving vehicle security, and in many of its new cars, a software lockdown is triggered when a device is plugged into the onboard diagnostics port while the alarm is sounding, making it impossible for anyone to program a new key. While that wouldn't have stopped Claire's car being stolen because the alarm was never triggered, the company also pointed out specialised accessories are available which are designed to deter and further prevent thefts, including a manual immobiliser for the diagnostics port. Meanwhile, Mercedes, the manufacturer of Richard's car, told us all its vehicles have extensive security and anti-theft protection systems, which are continuously developed to take account of the latest knowledge of how car criminals operate. And it pointed out that drivers whose cars have keyless entry technology can easily deactivate the radio signal to prevent abuse with 2 clicks of the key. Back in Essex, that's something Richard wishes he'd done before his car was stolen from his driveway.
You work hard in life to obviously have nice things, have a nice car, and obviously someone's taken it. But yeah, it's frustrating that I've been a victim to crime.